Hi, I'm Margo Sorum, and welcome to your lecture about natural posture. I wanted to give you some orientation so that when we practice together, you'll have an idea of how I'm cueing and what orientation I'm coming from. So in 2002, I met Jean Couch, balance teacher extraordinaire. And as I walked into her classroom, she said, "Oh, Margo, you have the flattest feet I have ever seen." And I said, "Jean, I have very high arches." And she said, "That may be, but you are not using them." And this is the plight of many of us, that we are all in this natural posture crisis. We are not moving with good posture. And really, yoga assumes that you have good posture. It's the baseline. So when you come to yoga with poor posture, you're going to continue to exacerbate those poor posture movements. And very likely, your yoga practice over time might cause even more damage and harm. So we're going to start by orientating towards learning the awareness and the proprioception of good posture, so that then the yoga really benefits us. I'd like to explain this whole thing a little bit more. So Katy Bowman has an amazing way of describing this, and she does so in her amazing book called Move Your DNA. I know this is going to show up backwards. Again, her name is Katy Bowman, and her book is Move Your DNA. Her other brilliant book that I recommend is Alignment Matters. And actually, I recommend all of her books, but I'm going to be referring to some things that specifically come out of Move Your DNA. And Katy describes it as the Orca Tank. So if you can imagine an orca whale, when they're put into a tank, they aren't able to swim very deep. And really they have to swim in a circle. And all orca whales that have been caught start to have a dorsal fin that curves. You don't find this in the wild though. In the wild, an orca's fin is erect and firm and upright. And this is because of the way that it moves. In the ocean, that orca can swim deep and fast and straight. And it conditions the tissues so that fin is dorsal. In a tank, that same orca tends to pick a side that it likes to circle around in, and the fin tends to droop in that way. The same thing is happening to us. We live in so many modern day orca tanks, and I'm going to just name a few of them. But the shoes that you wear are an orca tank. Almost every shoe has a heel that puts you at a slope and advantage. That means that you're not on your axis. And it also means that your calf is tight, and that tightness in your calf, because the heel is slightly elevated, ultimately creates a whiplash in your neck. So if you have neck problems, it might be related to the shoes that you're wearing. That's an orca tank. Who knew? Another orca tank we're living in are flat surfaces. Flat surfaces are everywhere. Your house is a flat surface. The road is a flat surface. Our feet were designed to be barefoot most of the time, and then to walk over uneven surfaces. And those uneven surfaces really conditioned the muscles and the tissues in a very nutritious way. Nutritious movement is Katy Bowman's phrase, and you will hear me use it because it's so good. So when we are walking in nature on a trail, you're not in the orca tank anymore. So really, if you're a runner, if you're a walker, hiker, it's best to do that in the woods, in nature, where things are uneven and your body has to do these micro movements, and it becomes these micronutritions. It's really amazing. So flat surfaces are an orca tank. Driving is an orca tank. You know, we get in a car and we drive somewhere rather than walking. Every time that you go into your kitchen and you turn on the kitchen sink, all those movements of having to go to a water hole and to fill a bucket and to carry that bucket back, your body's not getting that movement. We as humans are DNA is kind of programmed to be lazy, to conserve. And so as we have evolved, we've created technology to replace movement. So we push a lot of buttons all day long to replace movement. Think about opening the garage door with a button. Think about changing the TV channel with a button. There's so many things that are an Orca Tank for us that we're not moving fully. Furniture. Furniture is a major Orca Tank. And really when we started to see this trend towards poor posture, there's a specific kind of history to it, and I'd like to go into that. And Kathleen Porter, in her beautiful book, Natural Posture for Pain-Free Living, really goes into the history, but I'll give you a little synopsis here as well. So I like to use the example of Downton Abbey. If you've watched the show, it began at the beginning of 1900s, kind of around the time of the Titanic, and at that time it was very in fashion to have good posture. In fact, many women used corsets to try to help support good posture, and corsets aren't a good thing, they're an Orca Tank. But really it was the idea that you were regal and tall. It was the fashion. And then World War I happened, women's liberation started to happen, and then the 20s happened, and then we saw fashion completely change. The corsets did come out, the girdles came off, and we started to have the flappers come in. The hips went forward and couture fashion was born. And I don't know if this video will show this, but let me see if I can fit this in the video. But rather than being in our legs, the flappers came in, and then we started to kind of have this slouchy posture. I have a good picture in Kathleen's book to show you too. So really what I'm talking about is that this was the fashion, and you can see like these are women's suffragists, and look at how well aligned they are. They're just standing in their bones. There's these other kind of pictures, and when we look at this we might think, oh, they look so formal and stiff. Yeah, because our eyes have now been trained to think that. But really these are just human beings aligned like human beings. They're in their bones and they just have good posture. And it means that their muscles are their ideal lengths, and their joints are happy and healthy into old age. So what we tend to see these days is a little bit different and has become our normal. And that normal is a little bit more of like all these kind of couture fashions where the legs are not pillars of support and the bodies aren't even anymore, except for this woman. So she's the one kind of showing good posture in this. But everybody else is kind of in a position of vulnerability and in an Orca Tank where their tissues aren't really at their optimal position. Another picture that kind of is normal and everyday is this depiction of kind of just hanging out with our families and lounging and slouching. And this really is going to cause some long-term problems. So when we work together in yoga classes, I'm going to be giving you natural alignment cues to kind of help you come back into your bones and into your human being posture. Try to get us out of the Orca Tank a little bit more. And that's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel really weird. In fact, I bet it'll feel wrong. And it might be a little uncomfortable because you're just like, that can't be it. As long as it doesn't hurt, isn't painful, go with it. Have a new environment. This is also what we're going to call growth mindset. This idea that we're going to make tons of mistakes along the way as we learn about this. And I will say, I started studying with Jean Couch in 2002, and now it's 2020. So I've been working on this for 18 years, and I am by no way a master of this. Every day it's very humbling to wake up and find a new way of body surfing, of leaning into the bones and finding the posture of the day, the new awareness of the day. And some days it's like, oh, really kind of figuring out how do I create those arches in my feet a little bit better. Or another day it might be, oh, my legs are pillars of support. Or another day might feel like, oh yeah, I do feel my shoulder girdle and how that alignment needs to be a little bit more supported. So it's a process, and it isn't about being right. So many of my yoga students want to do the pose the right way. There is no right way. There's just the way right now, and with the awareness that you have in your own nervous system right now. I'm also going to be adding in some Feldenkrais movements. I find that this is a very liberating awareness practice, where in Feldenkrais we do things 7 different ways so that your nervous system, your skeleton, can start to feel into the most efficient way for you. So this is what it's all about, is finding what is your empowered position. I think that's all I want to say for now. But I hope this sparks your curiosity. I hope you'll make the investment in Kathleen's book. It's absolutely fabulous. I will be showing you pictures with her permission. She's just a wonderful and generous person, and this is kind of the body manual that we didn't get at birth, but that can help you now. So all the very best. We're on this path. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May you all be healthy and happy, safe, and may we all find our liberated human being posture, our natural posture. Bye.